What if I told you the swelling in your legs and ankles isn't just something you have to live with after 60, but a warning sign your body has been quietly sending for years? As someone who spends a lot of time reviewing the research on healthy aging, I keep coming across the same pattern in older adults. They tell themselves it's probably just aging, but when you actually look at what the science says, the picture is often very different. Early changes in circulation that, if ignored, can slowly lead to stiffness, loss of balance, and even reduced independence. Here's what concerns researchers most. This kind of swelling doesn't usually start as pain. It starts subtly. Tight shoes, sock marks, a heavy feeling by the evening. Easy to dismiss, easy to overlook, until one day simple things like walking, standing, or even getting out of bed don't feel the same anymore. But the truth is, in many cases, your body isn't asking for medication. It's asking for movement. And today, I'm going to walk you through 5 simple movements backed by published research that can help your body naturally move fluid out of your legs before those small warning signs turn into something much harder to reverse. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you find this helpful, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 so I know how to make better content for you. Number 1. The heel raise pump, the most overlooked fix for swollen legs. It may surprise you, but the real reason your ankles swell by the end of the day isn't always your heart, your kidneys, or even your salt intake. Researchers point to something much simpler. Your calves have quietly stopped doing their job. This pattern shows up again and again in studies of older adults, especially those who spend more time sitting, watching television, reading, or just resting more than they used to. Here's what's actually happening. Your lower legs rely on a natural pump system driven by your calf muscles. Every time you walk or move, those muscles squeeze your veins and push fluid back up toward your heart. Scientists call this the calf muscle pump, and it's considered one of the main engines of venous return in your entire body. But when that movement slows down, fluid begins to settle in your ankles and feet. That's when you notice tight shoes, sock marks, or that soft swelling that wasn't there in the morning. Now, here's the good news. This is one of the easiest problems to start correcting today. Sit in a firm, stable chair, something you already have at home, like your dining chair or favorite armchair. Place both feet flat on the floor, about hip-width apart. Keep your back upright, not stiff, just comfortably supported. Now, slowly lift your heels off the ground while keeping your toes firmly planted. You should feel your calf muscles gently tighten. Hold that position for about 3 seconds. Don't rush it. Then slowly lower your heels back down. That's 1 repetition. Start with 10 repetitions, then gradually work your way up to 15 or even 20 as it becomes easier. The key here is not speed, it's control. Moving too quickly won't activate the pump effectively. Think of it like gently squeezing a sponge to push water out, not shaking it. This movement is especially powerful when done after long periods of sitting. If you've been watching a 1-hour show, that's your cue. Or after a car ride, a meal, or even a phone call where you've been seated for a while. These are the moments when fluid is most likely pooling in your lower legs. A few important things to keep in mind. If you feel pain, not just mild muscle effort, but actual discomfort, pause and adjust. You can reduce the height of the lift or rest between repetitions. And if you have severe swelling, open wounds, or a known vascular condition, check with your doctor before starting. But for most people over 60, this simple movement can begin to reduce that heavy, tight feeling in the legs within days. Not because it's a trick, but because you're restoring a natural function your body depends on. And here's something most people don't realize. If this calf pump stays inactive for too long, research links reduced calf pump function to a higher risk of poor circulation and even higher mortality in some studies. It doesn't just cause swelling, it slowly affects your balance, your walking confidence, and your independence. But what if I told you there's another simple movement that works deeper, almost like unlocking fluid that's been stuck for years? If you're still with me, comment number 1 below. Now let's move to point number 2. Number 2. Ankle circles, the hidden key to unlocking stubborn fluid in your lower legs. There's a quiet moment many older adults notice but rarely talk about. When your ankle feels stiff, almost like it needs a few seconds just to wake up, before you can take that first step. That stiffness is not just about your joints getting older. It's often a sign that fluid and circulation are no longer moving the way they should. Studies on older adults have found that reduced ankle range of motion is one of the most overlooked contributors to swollen ankles. When your ankle joint stops moving through its full range, fluid doesn't circulate properly. It lingers, it settles, and over time, that's what creates that persistent swelling around your feet and ankles. This is where ankle circles become incredibly useful, not because they're intense, but because they restore motion where your body has quietly lost it. Sit comfortably in a chair where your feet can lift slightly off the ground. If needed, scoot forward just a bit. Lift one foot gently, keeping your leg relaxed, not stiff. Now begin to rotate your ankle slowly in a full circular motion. Imagine you're drawing a smooth circle with your toes, not a jagged or rushed shape. Go clockwise for 10 slow, controlled circles, then pause and reverse direction, 10 circles counterclockwise. Each circle should take about 2 to 3 seconds. You might hear or feel slight clicking or tightness at first. That's normal. You're reintroducing movement to areas that haven't been fully activated in a while. Switch to the other foot and repeat. This movement is especially effective first thing in the morning, before you even stand up, or at night when your ankles feel the most swollen. It helps unstick fluid that has been sitting in place, giving your body a chance to redistribute it naturally. Here's something important. Research on aging and balance has repeatedly found that ankle mobility is one of the strongest predictors of dynamic balance in older adults. If you skip this kind of gentle joint movement day after day, your ankles can gradually lose flexibility, and that's linked to a higher risk of losing your balance and falling. That's when swelling also becomes more stubborn and harder to reverse. For those dealing with arthritis or limited mobility, make the circles smaller. Even a partial range of motion is better than none. What matters is consistency, not perfection. This isn't about pushing your body, it's about reminding it how to move again. And once you start restoring that movement, your legs don't just feel less swollen, they start to feel more responsive, more stable, more awake. But there's another movement that goes even deeper, not just at the joint, but into the larger muscles that control how blood returns from your legs. And that's where things really begin to change. Number 3. Seated marching, the circulation reset most seniors never think about. If your legs start to feel heavy halfway through the day, not painful, just harder to move, almost like they're filled with sand, that's not something you should brush off as just getting older. That sensation often signals that circulation from your lower body is slowing down, and fluid is beginning to settle where it shouldn't. Here's something most people don't know. Your thighs play a much bigger role in circulation than you'd think. Most advice focuses only on the ankles or feet, but the deeper veins in your legs rely on larger muscle groups, especially your thighs, to help move blood and fluid back toward your heart. When those muscles stay inactive for too long, especially during long periods of sitting, everything below them begins to feel the effects. That's where seated marching becomes one of the most practical movements you can do at home. Sit upright in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor. Let your hands rest gently on your thighs or the sides of the chair for support. Slowly lift one knee toward your chest, not as high as possible, just to a comfortable level where you feel your thigh engage. Hold it there for about 1 second, then lower it back down with control. Immediately switch to the other leg. Continue alternating in a slow, steady rhythm, almost like marching in place while seated. Start with 30 seconds, then build up to a full minute as your strength improves. The key is consistency and control, not speed or force. This movement is especially helpful for those who spend a lot of time sitting, whether it's watching television, using a computer, or simply resting more throughout the day. It reactivates circulation in the deeper parts of your legs, helping move fluid upward instead of letting it pool in your ankles. If you notice one leg feels weaker or harder to lift than the other, that's valuable information. It often reflects imbalances in strength or circulation, and this movement can help gradually restore that balance over time. For safety, make sure your chair is stable and on a non-slip surface. If you feel dizzy or off balance, pause and rest. And if you've had recent hip or knee surgery, check with your healthcare provider before starting. What's powerful about this movement is that it doesn't just reduce swelling. It helps maintain your ability to stand, walk, and move with confidence. When done regularly, seated marching can change how your legs feel by the end of the day. Lighter, more responsive, less swollen. But there's still one method that works almost effortlessly: using gravity itself to help pull fluid out of your legs, and most people completely overlook it. If you're still watching and finding this useful, comment number 1 below. Now, point number 4. Number 4. Wall leg elevation. Let gravity do the work your body can't anymore. By the time evening comes, do your socks leave deep marks around your ankles? Or do your shoes feel tighter than they did in the morning? That quiet swelling isn't random. It's the result of fluid slowly settling in your lower legs all day long, especially if you've been sitting or standing for extended periods. Here's something many people aren't told. Your body depends on movement to push fluid upward, but when that system slows down with age, gravity starts working against you instead of for you. The longer your legs stay below heart level, the more fluid collects in your ankles and feet. Over time, this doesn't just cause swelling. It can lead to stiffness, skin tightness, and difficulty walking comfortably. Now imagine flipping that process in your favor. Multiple clinical studies have found that elevating your legs at or above heart level meaningfully improves circulation and reduces swelling, even in people without any diagnosed vein disease. Wall leg elevation is one of the simplest ways to use that same principle at home, using gravity to help your body drain excess fluid naturally, without strain and without medication. To do this safely, find a clear space near a wall. Your bedroom or living room works perfectly. Sit sideways next to the wall. Then gently lie down on your back as you swing your legs up so they rest vertically against the wall. Your hips should be close to the wall, but not uncomfortably tight. Adjust until you feel supported. Let your arms rest comfortably at your sides. Stay in this position for 5 to 10 minutes. Just breathe normally and let your body relax. Within a few minutes, you may notice a subtle shift, less pressure in your ankles, a lightness in your lower legs. That's fluid beginning to move away from where it has been pooling all day. If it's difficult to get down to the floor, lie on a bed and place your legs up against the headboard, or stack pillows under your legs so they're elevated above heart level. The goal is the same. Give gravity a chance to assist your circulation. A few considerations. If you have lower back discomfort, slide slightly away from the wall or place a small pillow under your hips. If you feel tingling or numbness, bend your knees slightly to reduce tension. This movement is especially powerful at the end of the day after long periods of sitting or traveling. It gives your body a reset, helping reduce swelling before it becomes more pronounced overnight. When fluid stays trapped in your lower legs day after day, it can slowly affect your skin, your mobility, and your overall comfort. But when you use gravity strategically like this, you're not just relieving swelling, you're supporting balance in your entire lower body. And yet, there's one final movement, small, almost effortless, that works deep within your lower legs, targeting the very pathways where fluid first begins to collect. It might be the simplest one of all. Number 5. Toe flex and point, the small movement that keeps fluid from settling. It's often the smallest movements your body depends on the most, and the ones people stop doing without even realizing it. One of the most overlooked patterns in older adults is how little the feet actually move during the day. Not walking, many people still walk, but the subtle motions in the ankles and toes that keep circulation active even at rest. When those tiny movements disappear, fluid begins to collect in the lowest parts of the body, your feet and ankles. That's where this simple motion, flexing and pointing your toes, becomes surprisingly useful. Sit comfortably in a chair or lie down on your bed, especially in the morning before you get up or at night before sleep. Extend your legs out in front of you in a relaxed position. Slowly point your toes forward as if you're trying to reach the end of the bed with them. You should feel a gentle tightening along the front of your lower legs. Hold that for about 2 seconds. Then slowly pull your toes back toward your body, flexing your feet so your heels stay in place while your toes move upward. You'll feel a stretch along your calves and Achilles area. That's one full cycle. Repeat this slowly for 15 to 20 repetitions. The pace matters more than the number. Each movement should be controlled, smooth, and intentional. Avoid snapping or rushing through it. Think of it as guiding fluid through your lower legs rather than forcing it. Here's why this works. Your lower legs are filled with small vessels that depend on regular movement to keep fluid circulating. When you're asleep or sitting still for long periods, those pathways slow down. Fluid begins to settle, especially overnight, which is why many people notice their feet feeling stiff or swollen first thing in the morning. This simple toe movement reactivates those pathways before you even take your first step. It's especially helpful for those who may not be able to stand for long periods or do more demanding exercises. Even if mobility is limited, this movement keeps the system engaged. If you have arthritis or stiffness, your range of motion might feel smaller, and that's perfectly okay. Work within what feels comfortable, and over time, with consistency, that range often improves. Another benefit is that this kind of regular ankle and toe movement supports overall foot awareness, something research links to better balance and a lower risk of falls as we age. When these small movements are ignored day after day, your body slowly loses its ability to manage fluid efficiently. Swelling becomes more frequent, more noticeable, and harder to reverse. The goal is not intensity, it's consistency. When you combine this with the other movements you've learned, you're no longer just reacting to swelling, you're preventing it from building up in the first place. So here's the real question most people don't ask. What happens when you put all 5 of these movements together into one simple daily routine? There's a quiet truth about aging that many people don't hear until it's too late. Your body doesn't suddenly break down. It slowly stops communicating in ways you've learned to ignore. Swollen ankles, heavy legs, that tight feeling at the end of the day. These are not random inconveniences. They are early signals, and for many adults over 60, they mark the beginning of a shift in how the body manages circulation, fluid, and movement. What you've learned today is not just a set of exercises. It's a way to support something your body has relied on your entire life: movement-driven circulation. Because here's what the research suggests happens if nothing changes. Over the next 1 to 2 years, mild swelling that comes and goes can become more consistent. You may notice your shoes fitting tighter, your legs feeling more fatigued after simple tasks, or your balance becoming just slightly less steady. By 3 to 5 years, if the underlying pattern isn't addressed, the effects can go deeper. Reduced circulation is associated with skin changes, increased stiffness, and a gradual loss of mobility. Not overnight, but slowly, quietly, in ways that are easy to overlook until they begin to limit your independence. And this process doesn't pause while you sleep. At night, when your body is completely still, fluid can continue to settle in the lower parts of your legs. Without the small, consistent movements that support circulation during the day, your system becomes even more dependent on what you choose to do when you're awake. That's why understanding your body matters so much at this stage of life. Not reacting when something becomes painful, but recognizing the early signs and adjusting before they progress. The 5 simple movements you've learned today aren't about effort or intensity. They're about awareness, about giving your body the signals it needs to keep fluid moving, muscles active, and joints responsive. And more importantly, they represent a choice to stay engaged with your health, a choice to protect your ability to move freely, to walk confidently, to live independently. Because the difference between someone who stays active into their later years and someone who slowly loses that ability often comes down to small, consistent actions like these. Not perfection, not long workouts, just daily attention. Your body is still capable of adapting even now, but it responds to what you do consistently, not occasionally. So the real question isn't whether swelling can be reduced, it's whether you're willing to listen to what your body has been trying to tell you and take action before those quiet signals become permanent limitations. I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned today that you plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.